As you guys know, I go to a lot of meetings each year, and it's really important to keep current. And I was at a meeting in Vegas in June, and I was listening to a colleague of mine out of Chicago talk about the recovery time, the time after, obviously, a procedure of any kind, small or big. And I thought that the term that he used was actually quite brilliant, which was personal time. And what he meant by this was taking a negative experience, such as recovery, which always has some negative connotation to it, and putting a positive spin to it. I'll tell you a personal story to have you better understand what I'm talking about. I was in JFK last week, flying back from JFK from New York back to Dallas, and it was 4 hours on the runway. I was sitting there, and I was reading some books and things like that. And at the end of 4 hours, because the airlines have a regulation that says after 4 hours you can't fly anymore because people have been complaining of sitting on the tarmac too long, we were about to take off, and the plane turned back around and went to the gate. And at that point just said, okay, we're going to cancel the flight. And so I had to, at 9:30, call Diane, my nursing director, and say, look, I got to cancel. I can't come in tomorrow. I've got patients from Minnesota and from Miami, and I have to do something to move things around. Obviously, my patients were very accommodating and very nice about it. But at the same time, I had to cancel my case and move it over. And it was interesting because when this occurred to me, I just said, look, I'm just going to call Diane. I know my staff can handle it. They're very good. There's no reason to get worried, no reason to get negative, no reason to get angry. Just things happen. Maybe it was meant to be because the weather conditions in Dallas were bad. So I just sat there, with patients and said, you know what, I'll take this next morning. I'll work out. I'll read a book. I'll take some time to spend with my niece in New York and not create anxiety out of this, because I think a lot of times we can create a lot of anxiety just because something happened. And it's important that when a negative situation occurs to you, it's your attitude that really makes the difference, not the situation itself, but your attitude toward it. Juxtapose this against the individual that sat about 2 seats in front of me. At the time that we reached the gate, he stood up, bolted upright, screamed out loud to the flight attendant, oh my goodness, I cannot believe this is happening, you're a bad person. And then when the captain's door swung open, he got up and said, boy, you did a bad job of communication. He was flustered, angry, he dropped some things and ran out the plane. Obviously, I could feel his negative energy. So what I'm just trying to use as example is to say in my own life, when I reach a negative situation, or here's another example. This morning, my patient actually drank some orange juice, and we had to cancel the case. Instead of sitting here flustered and worried about it, I took some time and working on this video right now and doing some other things. So it's not a big deal if there's no harm, no foul. And so what I want to sort of encourage you to do is during your recovery time, to get back to the core of this video, is to take what may seemingly be a negative experience, something that's bad or recovery or anything of that connotation, and convert it into a personal time. Take your time to actually enjoy it. Maybe take a breath, relax. Maybe you've been so busy. I talked to a patient yesterday, and she was anxious during her recovery time. She wasn't in pain or discomfort, but she was anxious. So it was about 5 o'clock in the evening, and I had finished all my patients, and I spent about 2 minutes with her. I said, did you see my meditation videos on there? She says, no, I didn't even see that. So I asked her to go and watch those videos, and I sat down with her. I said, look, why don't you go and just lie on a couch, close your eyes, and let's do a little 2-minute meditation. And I was finished with the meditation, and she says, wow, I feel really good. And it's just because I took her from this very, very anxious state that she sort of got herself in. It had nothing to do with the recovery, but she sort of imposed on herself. And I brought her and sort of broke her out of that attitude. So another case was a patient that was very nervous from a second. I had filled her one time, and she was just nervous during the procedure, and she was very nervous during the second one. So I walked her through a meditation exercise during the injectable, and she actually at the end of the time just said, wow, I feel really good. And I think she just needed that time to relax. So I just want you to think about that recovery time that you're going through for whatever small or big procedure it may be, instead of being flustered by the time that you're off from work or maybe can't be in a social engagement, to take that time and convert it into time that you either need rest, you need to refocus your energies, do some meditation, maybe learn a language, maybe read a book that you always wanted to read but were saying you didn't have enough time, maybe trying to figure out what your life intention is for the next 5 years. Convert negative energy, anxiety, and channel it towards something positive and put yourself at ease, because recovery is a recovery. I'm not trying to make light of it, but take that time and maybe use the label personal time to allow yourself to grow, expand, and be a better person by the time it's done. Hopefully that little video is helpful for you, even if you're not going through recovery.